Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming to this month's edition of Poem Jam. Actually, the first of two. Thanks for being such an appreciative audience. I'm John Smalley, as you probably know, a librarian with the Humanities Department here and also poetry selector. Before we get started, I want to take a moment to acknowledge our community and to tell you about a couple programs coming up. On behalf of the Public Library, we wish to welcome you to the unceded and ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. As the indigenous stewards and in accordance with their traditions, the Ramaytush have never ceded, lost, nor forgotten their responsibilities as caretakers of this place. As guests, we who reside in their traditional territory recognize that we benefit from living and working on their homeland. We wish to pay our respects by acknowledging the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush community and by affirming their sovereign rights as First Peoples. If any of you are here for the first time, I just want to mention that tonight's Poem Jam, we have a Poem Jam poetry reading every month, the second Thursday of each month in this room, 6 p.m. So we're hoping that you will come back on future Thursdays. We have an additional Poem Jam this coming Sunday, this month, and that one will also be led by San Francisco Poet Laureate emerita Kim Shuck. And Sunday's Poem Jam will be celebrating the writings of the Native American poet and scholar Janice Gould. I also want to mention a program at the end of this month, Sunday, November 30th at 1 p.m. in the Corrett Auditorium across the way. We'll be screening a brand new documentary by director Jeannie Hallisey. That is called Thabyar Creative Resistance in Myanmar. And that is about artists and activists who are doing creative things in one of the most dangerous conflict zones on the planet. The film's only an hour long, and there'll be a short Q&A afterwards, as well as a reception with Burmese tea and samosas. So hope you can come to that. Lastly, next month's Poem Jam on December 11th will be featuring Kim Shuck's paired poems and artworks, again, in this room. And these treat, I think it's 11 or 12 species of Pacific Coast animals and also animals found in the United States territories, endangered species. So we do hope you will come back for that. If you want to learn more about our programs, you can pick up a flyer or newsletter from the table on your right, where you will also find coffee and cookies, so help yourself to that. There's also these limited edition Poem Jam buttons, which you can help yourself to, and I understand there's some Sinister Wisdom swag on the table over there. So that concludes my announcements. Please give a warm welcome to tonight's host, the host of our Poem Jam series, Kim Shuck.
Thank you. How many people in the audience were born after the 80s? Yeah, okay. So let me welcome you to a reality where feminist writings would often most easily be found in occult bookstores. Some of you remember this moment and are giggling. At least, well, one of our authors tonight, the first of her books I ever bought was at an occult bookstore on Divisadero Street, and it helped me get through high school, really. The other thing that I wanted to mention about the work tonight is I first heard Pat Parker's work on a record, a vinyl disc that she and Judy Grahn put together called, I think, I Don't Know What I'd Do Without You. Is that correct? I don't know what I'd do without you. Where would I be without you? Yeah. So that was my first experience of hearing Pat Parker read. But I'd met her before that because she was also a women's health advocate and of high order. And I knew her in an entirely different context and was asked to introduce her at an event where I was like, I'm going to need to know something about you other than the fact that you work at the health clinic, because I could actually make this really inappropriate. I was delighted to get my copy of this book, and I hope everybody here who doesn't have one yet will acquire one, because it's really essential material. She was remarkable, and I don't think she's as well known now as she should be. We're going to start the reading off with Yeva Johnson, who I've encountered a lot in the city in open mics, and I've curated her into my shows a lot, and just love her work and her voice. So welcome to the microphone, please, Yeva Johnson.
Thank you very much, Kim. I am thrilled to be here for so many reasons. I never had a chance to meet Pat Parker. I just found out today one of my cousins used to work with her in the clinic. It's like, wow, adjacent. I'm also here on behalf of Sinister Wisdom, which is co-sponsoring this evening today. It's one of our local events today. So this Sinister Wisdom swag table I'm going to talk about while I get myself ready to read. Please come up. We're celebrating the publishing of this book, Essential Poems by Pat Parker, which is just published, coming out this month or last month, just in the last few weeks. So there are a few copies up here. Those of you who are very smart will come up and get one. And those of you who are pretty smart too will, if you miss out, will get the little card that says Sinister Wisdom. Please become a subscriber. Sinister Wisdom is a multicultural lesbian literary art journal and the oldest literary lesbian art journal in the country, which is having its 50th anniversary next year. So please come and do that. Our website, there's a lot of stuff going on there too, things that are both in person and online. So if you're at all interested, lesbian and queer women inclusive community, check it out. So it's sinisterwisdom.org is the website. So now, without further ado, just get myself ready. Those of you who know me know what's going to happen. Slightly, except it's a special evening because this is all about Pat Parker. And so what I'm giving you right now to start is a quick Pat Parker sandwich, I would call that, I guess. So I'm going to read one Pat Parker poem, one of my own poems inspired by Pat Parker, and then another Pat Parker poem. But as always, I start and end with music. So that's the way the sandwich works. Okay. And then I do minimal banter. That was it. This first poem for Willis. When I make love to you, I try with each stroke of my tongue to say, I love you. To tease, I love you. To hammer, I love you. To melt, I love you. And your sounds drift down, oh God, oh, Jesus. And I think, here it is. Some dude's getting credit for what a woman has done again. And this poem is called Poetic Sisters. Her last poem slips away. My fingertips close the book of complete works, and I miss her. I yearn for her, despite not yet having put her opus in its rightful place on my shelf. So when I turn to my other sister outsider, I can't yet give myself up to Audrey because Pat Parker beckons me still with her innards. As I had to with June Jordan, I learned that I must live without her. All that's left are Pat's pages. After I recover my more even-keeled Black, lesbian, mother, pacifist, Jewish, feminist, physician self, then I can drink Audrey in. Drink deep but slow, like sampling a fine wine. Lord caught me up completely in the poem for Martha. I'm hooked, sinking and swimming, reading and rejoicing and mourning simultaneously. Oh, sister outsiders, would that I had seen you alive. And now this last poem, it comes untitled. It's a little bit longer. It's untitled. And we're just going to go with this. Don't let the fascists speak. We want to hear what they have to say. Keep them out of the classroom. Everybody is entitled to freedom of speech. I am a child of America, a stepchild raised in the back room, yet taught how to act in her front room. My mind jumps, the voices of students screaming insults, threats. Let the Nazis speak. Let the Nazis speak. Everyone is entitled to speak. I sit, a greasy-legged Black child in a Black school in the Black part of town, look to a Black teacher. The Bill of Rights guarantees us all the right. My mind remembers, chants, Article 1. Article 1. And my innards churn. They remember the Black teacher in the Black school, in the Black part of the very white town who stopped us when we attacked the puppet principal, the white board of miseducation, cast off books illustrated with cartoons and words of wisdom written by white children in the other part of town, missing pages, caricatures of hanging niggers. The Bill of Rights was written to protect us. My mind remembers and my innards churn, conjure images, police, break up illegal demonstrations, illegal assemblies, conjure image of a Black Panther. If Tricky Dick tries to stop us, we'll stop him. Conjure image of the same Black man going to jail for threatening the life of the president. Every citizen is entitled to freedom of speech. My mind remembers and my innards churn, conjure images of Jews in camps, of homosexuals in camps, of socialists in camps. Let the Nazis speak. Let the Nazis speak. Faces in a college classroom. You're being fascist too. We want to hear what they have to say. Faces in a college classroom, young white faces. Speak, let them speak. Speak, let them speak. Blacks, Jews, some whites, seize the bullhorn. We don't want to hear your socialist rhetoric. Socialist rhetoric, survival rhetoric. The Supreme Court says it is illegal to scream fire in a crowded theater. To scream fire in a crowded theater causes people to panic, to run, to hurt each other. My mind remembers, and now I know what my innards say. Illegal to cause people to panic, to run, to hurt. There is no contradiction. What the Nazis say will cause people to hurt me. Thank you.
When I say I love Yeva's voice, I mean both the way she sounds and the way she writes. Doing this kind of reading means that I get to hear people who I never met, which is kind of exciting, because a lot of my experience of your work has been, like notes passed in class or something without real contact, and it's always been really important to me. So I'm a bit starstruck tonight, but I'm gonna call up Martha Dunham right now to have her say her piece. Welcome to the microphone, Martha Dunham.
Hi there. I would be remiss if I didn't start off with thank yous. First of all, to Kim Shuck, Poem Jam, everyone involved, everyone here tonight, and the San Francisco Public Library and all the folks that work here. I also want to particularly thank Julie Enzer and Sinister Wisdom. Yeah. Julie is our family, and when I say our family, it's Pat Parker's family. She's like our personal angel, and she has also done tremendous work to keep Pat's work alive. I don't know if you're aware, but she recently facilitated publishing of Pat's poems in Portuguese in Brazil. There was another chapbook that was published in England, or maybe I guess it was a copy of the letters between Pat and Audrey, and were it not for her, I don't think that Pat's archives would be at the Schlesinger Library at Harvard. They might still be moldering in my shed somewhere. So she's done tremendous work. And my daughter could not be here tonight. She's married, got kids. It's raining. She couldn't make it, but she's here in spirit and thanks you as well. I had the privilege of waking up next to Pat Parker every day for the last 9 years of her life. As her sister Ethel said, we were more married than most married folks. We were blessed with the acceptance and the love of our families. Pat had a fierce loyalty to her children as well as to her immediate and extended families. I miss her still. In the face of death, Pat demonstrated profound courage and good humor, as well as righteous anger. She cried more when her dog Andy died than she ever cried during her own painful illness. She left her pillow-like prosthesis on the dashboard of my truck at Stanford University on her way to a reading with Audre Lorde, after I assured her that if it didn't make her more comfortable, she needn't wear it to make other people feel more comfortable. She never wore it again. Commenting wryly on cancer, she once told me, the only good thing about cancer is you do chemo, you get skinny, and you die. I just realized I'm going to die fat, and I'm really pissed. That was Pat. Pat was able to inspire countless individuals to rise up, shake off their chains, and let their true beauty shine. Yet her own inner demons often kept her in a stranglehold and contributed to her untimely death. No matter how much those around her loved her, no matter how much she was admired by those she had never even met, she often was tormented inside, weighted down by the internalization of centuries of pain. So I encourage you to read this book and look in the mirror. If you cannot love who you see, think of Pat. Radiate love back to yourself, for you, for her, and for everyone who needs to gently accept and free themselves. Okay, I'm going to read two short poems, one of my favorites and one that I wasn't familiar with until Julie dug out some of her unpublished work. The first one is, Let Me Come to You Naked. Come without my masks, come dark and lay beside you. Let me come to you old, come as a dying snail, come weak and lay beside you. Let me come to you angry, come shaking with hate, come calloused and lay beside you. Even more, let me come to you strong, come sure and free, come powerful, and lay with you. So the last poem is called A Walk, and she wrote it in the 70s. I don't think it was ever published until Julie put the complete works together. I'm sure she never read it, but I like it because it really talks about her experience walking to school as a child, but it touches on the experience that a lot of lesbians have in the world. We had an unspoken agreement that no matter where we were, it could be the women's building, it could be driving to LA, well, especially driving to LA, we always went to the bathroom together because it only takes once for some racist, ignorant white woman in a ladies' room to look at her and scream, "Oh my God, there's a black man in the bathroom," you know. So we had a whole routine. And even when she was in the stall, we were like, hey, honey, you know, what are we gonna do when you know, after we leave, and blah, blah, you know, we'd keep the dialogue going to run interference so that nobody would be racist and homophobic in the ladies' room. Yes, there's no peace. So, but I did have a moment where I felt encouraged. I've been going to the Valkyries games. Can we hear it for the WNBA? Woohoo! So I must say that in the bathroom at Chase Center, there are butch dykes of all shapes, sizes, and colors, and everybody is cool with it. And there's women with their straight women with their kids, and it's a beautiful thing. Now that's San Francisco, and it's not that way everywhere, and we still have a long way to go. But anyway, this was her poem from the 1970s called A Walk. Down this street the wrong way, bounce off evening rush faces, past trees fucking in the wind, past people in the wind, up the street to the school. Hey, is that a boy or a girl? It looks like a boy, but no boys, no girls, only energy. Flashing back and forth, a joke of somebody, more roles to confuse simple-minded folk, and watch out, even more for adolescent myths and adulthood or head trips. It is all a trap. Beware of mother's cookies, children. Across this street now, my toes are tired. 27.5 organisms per city block. It is almost too much walking. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I feel like one of the big importances of Pat's work right now is the current circumstances we're in, and whether fearless in front of the mirror or not, the poems are fearless. So thank you for being here and speaking to that. Another round of applause for Martha. Our next poet up is Elena Gross. This is really adjustable.
Hello. I also have to give a note of thanks to Julie Enzer, who invited me to be a speaker this evening. Julie and I had the pleasure of working on a book together a couple years ago, Outright, the speeches that shaped LGBTQ literary culture. And she's just been the biggest advocate of me and my work ever since. And she invited me to be part of this incredible evening, and I feel flustered to be on such an illustrious panel. I will say that unfortunately, I did not have the privilege or pleasure of knowing Pat in her life. And I came to Pat's work through her correspondence with Audre Lorde only a few years ago. And her poetry has really unlocked new things within myself as a writer, as a lesbian, as a Black person, Black queer person in the world. And just her ability to be, and her work being so fiercely Black and sexual and political all at the same time, and like really reflecting the importance of not dividing yourself up into pieces, but really being, you know, allowing all of the parts of yourself to speak, is really just, yeah, incredibly inspirational for me. So I will not be reading my own work this evening. Instead, I'll just be reading poems from the most recent collection from Sinister Wisdom of Pat Parker's poems. And the first one I'm going to read is Gente. It's difficult to explain a good feeling. My world has become colorful, a rainbow of hues now, a part of my living, and it feels good. It feels good to listen to people talk about the streets and know it's not a vicarious experience. It feels good to sit and be loose, to talk without worry about the racists in the room. It feels good to hear we're gonna have a party and know it's really going to be a party. It feels good to be able to say my sisters and not have any reservations. But best of all, it feels good to sit in a room and say, have you ever felt like? And somebody has. To my vegetarian friend, this was a fun one. It's not called soul food because it goes with music. It's survival food. From the grease-spraying generations of my people, generations of slaves that ate the leavings of their masters and survived. And when I sit, faced by chitterlings and greens, neck bones and tails, it is a ritual. It is a joining, me to my ancestors, and your words ring untrue. This food is good for me. It replenishes my soul. So if you really can't stand to look at my food, can't stand to smell my food, can't keep those feelings to yourself, do us both a favor and stay home. The next one. My lady ain't no lady. My lady ain't no lady. She doesn't flow into a room, she enters, and her presence is felt. She doesn't sit small, she takes her space. She doesn't partake of meals, she eats, replenishes herself. My lady ain't no lady. She has been known to speak in a loud voice, to pick her nose, stumble on a sidewalk, swear at her cat, swear at me, scream obscenities at men, paint rooms, repair houses, tote garbage, play basketball, and numerous other unladylike things. My lady is definitely no lady, which is fine with me, because I ain't no gentleman. Thank you.
There are really good lessons in embracing all of who we are. So I am flabbergasted at introducing our next reader. I don't think I really have to. I probably just have to say her name. Can Judy Grahn please come up to the microphone?
All right. I'm so pleased and honored to be here, but I'm going to need the light on my pages. What does this do?
How to tell you to turn the light on.
Okay. That looks better.
I know it's a little dim over here in the poetry dungeon.
Blue light.
There we go.
Let's see if I can see the page. Okay, so I first met Pat Parker in early 1970, probably January. And I want to start with just a couple memories about that. and then end with one of her poems. So the story starts in November 1969, and my lover at the time, Wendy Cadden, and I joined up with a handful of other dykes to form what we called Gay Women's Liberation, separating ourselves from other movements to form our own movement. And there were many other movements, and we remained parts of them, but we formed our own. In a sense, it was a movement of our own. Parker was already reading poetry with a small group of white feminists, and now she began reading often with me and other lesbians to groups of open radical lesbians who were renting houses and filling them with others like themselves. And out of these houses, this is when housing was cheap, but out of these households came projects: a women's health center, a battered women's shelter, meeting spaces for lesbian feminist activists, a bookstore for women, and more, much more. Self-defense, we exploded. Wendy and I formed the Women's Press Collective, gathering heavy printing equipment, all to do what an activist today would call self-help. That is, don't wait to be accepted. Get your voice heard every way you can and spin it out into the world to change the world. We soon had big, enthusiastic, radical audiences for poetry that had become activist. The poetry had become activist. Parker joined in our loosely organized gay women's liberation movement and rented a house for herself and other women in Potrero Hill area of San Francisco. She was also, out of Maud's Bar, a pitcher for their ball team, and she led a women's softball team in competitions. She was always very proud to be so physically active as a poet, athlete, because it helped to break the effete, elitist stereotypes around writing poetry. We were changing the canon of poetry itself. We were breaking boundaries and forms to allow for the content of our own lived lives to spin out and change the world. Later, Pat moved to Oakland and rented a house for lesbians on Market Street. And she founded Gente, an organization for Spanish-speaking and African-American and other sisters facing intersectional hazards besides being female and lesbian and working class. A rainbow, as someone just said. Parker went on to become a director of the Oakland Feminist Women's Health Center, which grew out of the household that I mentioned earlier. And she traveled and spoke widely, continued to be an activist all through that time. But I want to say also about it, I want to recommend a book that uses Pat's poetry to describe the larger movement around the Women's Health Center movement, the abortion movement, and it went up, going up against the anti-abortion movement, the sperm bank that they came up with, and so on. And that book is called Deep Care. It's by Angela Hume. And I just want to recommend it because Parker's work is an important part of that book, and it expands the whole idea of poetry. It shows how poetry can be activist poetry in and of itself. Anyway, she adopted 2 daughters. She became partners with Marty Dunham and continued her activism in behalf of women, of African Americans, of oppressed gay men, of the disenfranchised everywhere. During the decade between 1970 and 1980, Pat and I did a lot of readings together. We also worked on her books, as I was her editor, and I also helped produce the books physically at the Women's Press Collective. And Parker, everyone called her Parker, because there were other Pats, Pat Norman, Pat Jackson, there were other Pats. And I did things, the two of us did things, other things together, besides just reading poetry and visiting each other and so on. We traveled up and down California doing readings and being fierce and tender. We visited her sister in a suburb in LA. We went fishing once and we camping overnight another time. And I was writing a set of poems called The She Who in 1972 when all of this was going on. And this is one that reminds me of her. It's called A Geology Lesson. Here, the sea strains to climb up on the land, and the wind blows dust in a single direction. The trees bend themselves all one way, and volcanoes explode often. Why is this? Many years back, a woman of strong purpose passed through this section, and everything else tried to follow. This is Pat's poem. Where is it? I have a dream. I have a dream. No, not Martin's, though my feet moved down many paths. It's a simple dream. I have a dream, not the dream of the vanguard, not to turn this world all over, not the dream of the masses, not the dream of women, not to turn this world all over. It's a simple dream. In my dream, I can walk the streets holding hands with my lover. In my dream, I can go to a hamburger stand and not be taunted by bikers on a holiday. In my dream, I can go to a public bathroom and not be shrieked at by ladies. In my dream, I can walk ghetto streets and not be beaten up by my brothers. In my dream, I can walk out of a bar and not be arrested by the pigs. I've placed this body, placed this mind in lots of dreams, in Martin's and Malcolm's, in Huey's and Mao's, in George's and Angela's, in the north and south of Vietnam and America and Africa. I've placed this body and mind in dreams, dreams of people. Now I'm tired. Now you listen. I have a dream too. It's a simple dream. Thank you.
That was a lot. Thank you so much. I'm very much a child of these movements and benefited from them a lot. And I get kind of emotional whenever I have the privilege to, or the reason to put together a reading that supports and celebrates one of these poets from that moment. And I've had to ask Mary Jean Robertson, who just walked in not too long ago, about a memory that I have of being in Old Wives' Tales on Valencia Street. And it's like, do I remember that? Is that correct? And apparently it was. It was a great moment, and it was a lot of claiming It's a time right now where we need to do some of that work again, where if we don't have the things we need to make them ourselves. I'm not waiting or asking permission anymore. It's not going to be given to us in this moment. Our next reader, there you are. Our next reader is Ajuan Mance. Please welcome her to the microphone. There are one or two of your pieces that I carry like amulets around with me.
Oh, I'm honored. Thank you. I'm just going to read two short pieces, and I think of them kind of as fire and ice. One is, but there's humor in both. And so the first is untitled. I'm so tired of hearing about capitalist, sexist, racist, fascist, chauvinist, feminist. I am tired of hearing about confrontating, demonstrating, trashing, smashing, surviving, jiving. I'm beginning to wonder if the tactics of this revolution is to talk the enemy to death. And the other poem has a slightly different tone, but similar themes. And I chose this one because, for one thing, I should say that Pat Parker is one of those poets who I started reading in the 80s when I was in college. I knew Yeva. And has just, I've always admired her work, and so it's just an honor to be here this evening reading these poems. And I love that there's a dialogue in poetry between Pat Parker and James Baldwin. And this is Sweet, Sweet Jimmy. Your words are razors cutting through coke, swift, grinding, and the world listens. The sharpness of your anger frightens. They scuttle to contain you. The new Richard Wright. And the anger rises. Sweet, sweet Prince Jimmy, are you resting well? Does sleep cool the rage? Thank you.
So we're now in a little bit of a situation because Avotcja has been delayed, and I didn't prep anything, which is very silly. I sort of heard that, she called me and left me a message while I was doing the first intro, and I thought, oh, this is going to be okay because everybody always runs long at this kind of event. And I forgot who I was dealing with. So we have a few minutes before Avotcja shows up. And what am I going to say? Is there still coffee, John? Is the coffee over? Okay. Could we maybe take a short coffee break? Is there more coffee available? Yeah, this constellation. Probably, yeah, okay. Maybe not that. There are cookies. There are cookies. Yeah. I don't know what Jewelle was going to read. I should know that. This is funny. We've never had extra time at one of these readings. I'm completely... We should read more Pat Parker. So, you people who know the book better than I do, pick another thing. I'll give you another. Please. Until Avotcja gets here. Thank you. Thank you.
I thought about reading this one before, but then I was like, I don't want to hog the mic, so I didn't. So, there is a woman in this town. She goes to different bars, sits in the remotest place, watches the other people, drinks till 2, and goes home alone. Some say she's lonely. Some say she's an agent. None of us speak to her. Is she our sister? There's a woman in this town. She lives with her husband. She raises her children. She says she's happy, and it's not a women's liber. Some say she's misguided. Some say she is an enemy. None of us know her. Is she our sister? There's a woman in this town. She carries a lot of weight. Her flesh triples on her frame. She comes to all the dances, dances a lot, goes home alone. Some say she's a lot of fun. Some say she's too fat. None of us have loved her. Is she our sister? There is a woman in this town. She owns her business. She goes to work in the day. She goes home at night. She does not come to the dances. Some say she's a capitalist. Some say she has no consciousness. None of us trust her. Is she our sister? There is a woman in this town. She comes to all the parties, wears the latest men's fashions, calls the women mama, and invites them to her home. Some say she's into roles. Some say she hates herself. None of us go out with her. Is she our sister? There is a woman in this town. She was locked up. She comes to many meetings. She volunteers for everything. She cries when she gets upset. Some say she makes them nervous. Some say she's too pushy. None of us invite her home. Is she our sister? There is a woman in this town. She fills her veins with dope, goes from house to sleep, borrows money wherever she can. She pays it back if she must. Some say she's a thief. Some say she drains their energy. None of us have trusted her. Is she our sister? Once upon a time, there was a dream of women coming together and turning the world around and making it over, a dream of women, all women being sisters, a dream of caring, a dream of protection, a dream of peace. Once upon a time, there was a dream of women, a dream of women, for the women who rejected the dream. There had only been a reassurance. For the women who believed the dream, there is dying, women, sisters dying. Once upon a time, there was a dream of women turning the world all over, and it still lives. It lives for those of us who would be sisters. It lives for those of us who need a sister. It lives for those of us who once upon a time had a dream.
Avotcja, I can have somebody read one more poem, or we can put you on right now. Okay, Yeva, please.
Oh, hi, Avotcja. Wow. It is so awesome to be able to read tonight. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. Oh, gosh. Okay, I had one long one I didn't know, but I'll do a little shorter one. I think it's called From Deep Within. I thought that was a beautiful one, too. So, from deep within, nature tests those she would call hers, slips up naked and blank down dark paths, skeletons of the sea. This we would become to suck a ray of sight from the fire. A woman's body must be taught to speak, bearing a lifetime of keys. A patient soul moves through a maze of fear and bolts clothed in soft hues and many candles. The season's tongues must be heard and taken, and many paths built for the travelers. A woman's flesh learns slow by fire and pestle. Like succulent meats, it must be sucked and eaten. Let me come to you naked. Come without my masks. Come dark and lay beside you. Let me come to you old. Come as a dying snail. Come weak and lay beside you. Let me come to you angry. Come shaking with hate. Come calloused and lay beside you. Even more, let me come to you strong. Come sure and free. Come powerful and lay with you.
Now, some of you caught that we heard that poem twice. And everybody always no, don't do that. Everybody always worries about repeating a poem. Did it sound the same? It did not. I have actually an idea that maybe next year I'll do one of these where I have everyone read the same poem. So that you can hear that it doesn't matter if you read the same one. It's different in every breath. Okay, so are we going to set up the other microphone? I would call Avotcja up, except that our microphone is not set up yet. I'm so glad you made it. We also need a chair, right? Okay. Okay. Well, Avotcja.
Wow. Testing, is it on? Yeah. I'm really grateful to be here, and I'm glad you're here. Pat was a pretty amazing artist, amazing writer, and an amazing human being. And we became very close friends. In fact, the last 3.5 years, I think it was, I was the opening act for her. And she always blew me away for a lot of reasons. People get stuck in ruts, you know, and they write about an issue. She wrote about the issues, and she didn't bite her tongue on any of it. And that's what I loved about her. And this particular one, I'm going to do two, one long one and one short one, if that's cool? Yeah. Okay. This one in particular, I was so grateful that she did it. I lived in the Western Addition when this madman was around there and folks were following him and what have you. So the Jonestown thing really hit me strong. And when she wrote what she wrote, I knew I loved and respected her. But after that, I mean, I was her disciple, you know. Folks stay away from writing about issues like this because this is not a pretty issue. But I think it's very important that we don't forget. There's a wonderful Ethiopian dicho that says, our most formidable adversary is an ancestor ignored. Ooh. And there are a lot of these folks who are our ancestors. And even if you were not physically related to them, you know somebody who was. But anyway, Jonestown. As a child in Texas, race education was simple, was subtle, was sharp. The great Lone Star State sharply placed me in colored schools with colored teachers and colored books and colored knowledge. I shopped in white stores and bought colored clothes, keep the colors loud and bright so they dazzle in the night. No matter where a nigger's bred, they love yellow, orange, and red. I used colored toilets and rode colored buses home. I went to colored churches and with colored preachers and prayed to a white God, begged forgiveness for Cain and his sins and his descendants, us lowly colored sinners. And the message was simple, was sharp. There is a place for niggers, but not among good white folk. At home, race education was simple, was subtle, facts gleaned by differences. The white man who jumped free-fall in the sky was quietly dismissed. White folks are crazy. The white man who turned somersaults on sports spectacular skis was quietly dismissed. White folks will do anything for money. The white man who shot and killed his wife and children, then himself, received a head shake and a sigh and a simple statement. White folks are crazy. And the messages fell into place. White folks went crazy and went crazy and went into nut houses. Black folks got mad and went to jail. White folks owned America. Black folks built it. And I grew into adulthood, and many messages were discarded. Many were forgotten, but one remains to haunt me. Black folks do not commit suicide. Black folks do not. Black folks do not. Black folks do not commit suicide. November 18, 1978. More than 900 people, most of them black, died in a man-made town called Jonestown. Newscasters' words slapped me in my face. People's tears and grief emanate from my set, and I remember the lessons. Rehear childhood message. Black folks do not commit suicide. I thought of my Uncle Dave. He died in prison. Suicide, the authorities said. Boy just got up and hung himself. And I remember my mother, her disbelief, her grief. Them white folks killed my brother. Dave didn't commit no suicide. And the funeral, a bitter, quiet funeral, his coffin sealed from sightus, and we all knew Dave died not by his hands. Some guard decided that nigger should die, and I stare at the newscaster as he struggles to contain himself. It's a big, big story, and he must not seem too excited. American troops made a grisly discovery today. In a jungle with bloated belly, not a victim, in a dream deferred, not a piece in a meter puzzle, not a member in the supporting cast. Yet, I am here. I am there, walking with the souls of black folks, crying, screaming, why, black folks, why are you here and dead? Tell me how willingly you died. Did the minister sing to you, Kool-Aid, tastes great, I like Kool-Aid, can't wait. I see black people, beautiful black people, in lines in front of a tub of 20th century hemlock. I see guards with guns. Why guns? And the pictures continue to flow, images of a man, a church man. He cures disease. No, he's a fake, hired people, treated liver, he loves God. No, he's a communist. He talks many messages, revolution to the young, God to the old. He believes in the family. No, he destroys the family, fucks the women, fucks the men, and the media continues to tell the tale. An interview with a live one. You were a member of the People's Temple. Yes, I was. Why did you join? Well, I went there a few times and then I stopped going. But Reverend Jones came by my house and asked me why I quit coming. I was really surprised. No one had ever cared that much about me before. No one had ever cared that much about me before, and it came home. The messages of my youth came clear. The black people in Jonestown did not commit suicide. They were murdered. They were murdered in small southern towns. They were murdered in big northern cities. They were murdered as school children by teachers who didn't care. They were murdered by policemen who didn't care. They were murdered by welfare workers who didn't care, by shopkeepers who didn't care. They were murdered by church people who didn't care. They were murdered by politicians who didn't care. They didn't die at Jonestown. They went to Jonestown dead, convinced that America and Americans didn't care. They died in the schoolrooms. They died in the streets. They died in the bars. They died in the jails. They died in the churches. They died in the welfare lines. Jim Jones was not the cause. He was the result of 400 years of not caring. One moment, please. Ay, Dios mío. Forgive me. Black folks. I say black folks do not. Black folks do not. Black folks do not. Black folks do not commit. Pat Parker. Wow. Forgive me for any mistakes I may have made. It's been a while since I've read that. And this one for Willis. And Pat would always say this, if Willis is here in the audience somewhere, I don't know, because I didn't get a chance to look around the room, but it wasn't directed at her. It was when Pat read, I was there when she wrote this, and she did this poem, and Willis just fell out. And you will understand why. For Willis. When I make love to you, I try with each stroke of my tongue to say I love you. To tease, I love you. To hammer, I love you. To melt, I love you. And your sounds drift down, oh God, oh Jesus, oh! And I think, here it is, some dude's getting credit for what a woman has done again. Pat Parker. Thanks for listening to my words. You know, I want to say something, and I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so glad this book has come out, because working with her, all those years and being friends with her before that, there was many times we did gigs in places there was nobody there. There were 3 or 4 people there. And it's interesting how when we die, everybody jumps on the wagon. I am going to strongly suggest that you let people know about this woman as a writer and other women writers before they disappear in the void, because otherwise this is the ultimate hypocrisy. The only way that people are going to know about this woman and how important this woman was as a human being, as a writer, is if you let them know. Please do that. Thank you for listening to my words.
And even with transportation issues and all of the rest and the big rain and everything today has brought, we're pretty much dead on time. I love working with you people. Thank you again to all of our readers, Yeva, Martha, Elena, Judy, Ajuan, and Avotcja. Please give them all another round of applause. Thank you to the library, to John Smalley, to Mike back there behind all of the equipment. They let me program whatever I like. Nobody's ever questioned me about that. Nobody's ever canceled one of these because they didn't like who I'd put on stage. And I do challenge the library sometimes. But libraries are one of the great hopes of the moment. And on the subject of the moment, the only way through times like this is community. It is the only answer. We need to show up in the bathrooms for one another and keep the conversation going to keep us protected. We need to write the books that need to be written, and if they won't be published, we need to publish them ourselves. This is a time when artists of all kinds need to step forward and be seen. I've been told by a few people, because I write some pretty hard stuff sometimes, that I should probably be a little more circumspect with my stuff, and I just get louder, because that's what we've got to do. I would love to see some of you here on Sunday for the event for Janice Gould. There's another book coming out of hers. Her posthumous memoir is coming out next year, but I'm getting you guys all ready for it because she was a force also. Thank you for coming tonight. Give yourselves a round of applause for being at live performance. And I will see you next time. Thank you. Thank you.